Commissioner Phillips,
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Here.
Commissioner Boyd, Commissioner Gooch,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Present.
Commissioner P,
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman P, have you had an opportunity to read the minutes?
I have and find them to be appropriate, and I'll move for their approval.
We have a motion for approval of the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Phillips. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes stand approved. This is our public comments period as a result of the new state law, but seeing nobody present, we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. We're going to take things a little out of order, and we will take up Michael Gregory first, the drug medical supplies for Paul's. Michael, if you kind of come to us. And what do we have, Carla?
We had sent out bids at the end of June for his drug medical supplies, and I did not receive any bids in today.
Michael, where does that leave us?
I guess we're going to have to rebid. We've never had this hurdle before.
So
That is unusual.
So, is it possible that, is there an explanation for why we didn't receive any responses?
There was only one place that had emailed back to Carla that she forwarded to me that they were having a little bit of difficulty getting it through their legal department, the bid. But another company, they received theirs. I assumed that they would bid. We actually had a new company that reached out to me asking for information, which I provided all of those answers probably at least 10 days ago, and they didn't bid as well.
So how many companies how many entities, organizations, companies did we contact?
8 that were mailed, emailed, and then the one that contacted him, I think I sent it to a couple of others as well in email.
Slate to 2 folks.
This is unusual.
Did the current vendor not?
What we do is, if you recall, we break that down by line item and do it that way. So we had 2 current vendors. One of them was the one that said they couldn't get it through their legal department quick enough. The other one, I spoke to their rep and made sure they had it by email as well. I haven't heard back from them.
The current contract, what is the status of the current contract? And when does it expire?
It expires, I believe it was approved of 8/9 of last year, if I recall, and it was to last for a year. So we're getting close, but we do order that line by line, and also I can make sure that we get things before it expires to try to push us through until the new one's coming.
Okay, so I guess what I want to do is I want to do 2 things. Number one, we obviously going to have to rebid it,
Yes,
right? But in the meantime, to follow up with that rebidding process, I want to make sure that you've made the necessary arrangements to ensure that there are no abbreviations in your the things that you need, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Would you be able to do that between now and August 8th?
Yes, we'll make sure that we're covered.
Okay, and I guess the other thing is what can we do to ensure that we have at least 2 or more responses if we resubmit it to bid? I mean, what can we do to ensure that people are getting the bid package, I guess is what I'm saying.
At this point, I will reach out to the 2 that we currently work with. One of them that's on the list we currently work with, however, I did not expect them to reply because they already offer shelter pricing that's publicized. So I didn't anticipate them actually returning a bid. So I do have what their packet would be. And then
So in a sense, we do have one.
but they offer very limited supplies.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to the 2 distributors that we're working with now directly, which I've already spoken to both of them, like I said, around 10 days ago, and I'll reach out and let them know, especially for the one with the legal, that, hey, it's going to be rebid. Keep pushing it through legal now. You've got a little bit more time to get that done. Mm-hmm. And then there's one company that they bid for us 2, 3, 4 years, and then they just abruptly stopped. We did send out the information to them, and I'm going to see if I can reach out and find who our rep for this particular area is. Sometimes what we run into is when it goes to corporate, things kind of get lost. So I want to know who our person is and have a name and a face with that person of, hey, why are you not bidding for us? We're in your territory. And that affects your paycheck.
Our next meeting is scheduled for the 15th of August, which is a week after the 8th. Is there a way to move our meeting up a week so we can accommodate whatever bids come in?
We will be fine. I can make sure that we order things.
You're going to be properly stocked, is
Yes,
what I'm
sir.
saying. And you
Yes,
don't have
sir.
the necessary inventory. Now, with regard to inventory, some of these medications, I assume, have a shelf life, do they not?
They do, but most of them are out for a year or two.
Oh,
so we're
okay.
fine.
Okay, so that wouldn't be an issue.
Just to give you an instance, it would be no different than what we have to do when it comes the end of the budget year. Because while the budget year closes and we're having to wait for POs to come in for the new year, I have to project our business ahead 6 or 8 weeks or so anyway. It'd be no different than what I do every year.
Okay, so this is a manageable situation.
Oh, yes, sir.
Chairman Page?
And this is probably a question for legal, but I think that I've heard in the past, if we had put something out for bid and we do not get a bid, that he can go and purchase. That's a question that we need to answer. Michael, do you know, would you have to know, if we legally put out a bid and we don't get any response?
Yeah, we have other options if you didn't want to rebid it, yes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My understanding is we could allow him to purchase if necessary.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure we've got that option now. If you want to run that past our legal, I believe.
No, we'll
Michael.
have, so like if you were to put this out to bid, which it sounds like that's what you want to put it out to bid one more time, and let's say for some reason there becomes no bids on August 15th, we have some mechanisms for Michael to continue purchasing that are legal above board. I mean, we'll have to do some quotes and some things like that. One of them would be using a publicized list like Michael referred to. But we have some options. We will not go without him being able to purchase
Well, that's
things.
what I'm getting. We have already done that. We could
You
go
don't have
those
to
other
rebid it if you
options
didn't
now.
want to. But I mean,
Well,
a lot of people choose.
it doesn't seem like Michael's saying that this is going to particular strain on his operation, so I'd like to try at least one more time. Michael, let me go real quick. What is the current size of the contract that we're rebidding?
It varies. That line is budgeted around $100,000 per year.
Okay.
Last year, I think we spent $60,000 out of that line.
Okay.
It's mainly just our surgical supplies and vaccines.
Okay.
Don't misunderstand me. I do want it to be bid, but if push came to shove and we didn't get any bids, we've got options. So
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's advantageous for us to get these folks to bid because they're taking their list price and they're cutting that down to try to get our business. So we obviously want to get the best price we can. So,
What about the other animal clinics in this area? I'm thinking basically about Davidson County. What, do you know who supply them?
I do not know who supplies them. Metro Animal Control, though, is a part of the health department, so they're probably bidding that out through the health department. They probably just order whatever they're told to from there. So I don't know. The only place that would be kind of set up similar to us would be Williamson County. I'm not sure how much they spend on their drugs and medical supplies if they meet the threshold to have to bid it out.
Well, you possibly could check
I
with
could,
them.
yes, sir.
Okay, so unless there's any objection, if the consensus is to rebid it, let's do that in the form of a formal motion in a second, if that's okay.
Move to rebid.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of rebidding say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are you ready, Michael, or you want Deputy Chief Spence to go?
You go ahead, I think.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Our current uniforms are bid with CMS Uniforms in Nashville. And in the original bid, it was agreeable. We could renew it in between the 2-year and 5-year. They have an increase, and I'm requesting that we renew it with these increases. Their increase is 20% on the first tactical uniforms, and everything else is a 12% increase.
Chief, is that, you say this is a bid that we have accepted in the past, but this increase that you're talking, was that part of the original bid that we
That was the
accepted?
original.
It was
This is
in part of our
Okay.
RFP that if it was the increase, it had to be mutual between both parties to accept it
That was old
On the,
pricing. This is new pricing.
All right.
on the original. This came from the committee back in February of 2020 when it was first awarded to CMS.
Well, if it's part of the original bid that we got, I don't have a problem with it.
Yes,
It's
sir.
just, if we're tacking on an additional 20%, 12%, just cause we want them to feel good, I'm not into that.
Right.
So,
Well, it was just, in the RFP, it was stated if it was an increase, it had to be mutual, and we feel comfortable with the increase with inflation of everything and the cost of other uniforms in the other departments.
Will the increase be in your budget?
So,
Will the increase be in your budget?
yes, sir, it'd be covered.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Have you checked with other agencies to see, I mean, when you're throwing out this 20% and 12%, where is that number coming from, is what I want to know.
It's coming from the uniform store. This is the first increase they've done since this has been awarded to them. Talk to Murfreesboro City. They'll be paying, of course, we don't wear the same type of uniforms, some of them, but they're paying about the same price as they gave me on this new price list.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
I want some kind of reasoning behind,
Yes,
what this number is.
And also, too, when we bid this out, CMS is the only one who can accommodate us on our requirements. We have to have a certain distance from the department to take things get altered. Other uniforms businesses or in Kentucky, and the other one has to send all their stuff to Memphis to get alterated and so forth. So, another reason we'd like to extend it if y'all would approve it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Charlotte, you'll call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
I will email you a copy of their signed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Michael,
Thank you.
Phase 1 environmental.
So we had to do a rubric. If y'all remember, we had two bidders the last time when y'all deferred this. We had worked with GNRC, who we hired as our consultants. We used an approved rubric that they had and they've used in the past for these type of CDB projects. I'm going to pass around the rubric for each. The first one I'll pass around is going to be for Griggs and Maloney, I believe is how you pronounce their name. Okay. And then the second one, I'll go ahead and pass around. It's going to be for the other bidder, which is going to be C and M and E. Or S, I'm sorry, S and M and E. And while y'all are looking over those, I will say we went over them with me, our grants coordinator Reba, and GNRC. They're very similar. We feel they're both qualified based on the rubric. They actually tied in points. There was only a couple differences in their application, and I'll point out kind of the three main differences I saw. The first one was S and M and E did not provide a resume for some of their staff. Griggs and Maloney did. However, neither one of them told us who our lead project person would be here. So that's why they're both ranked 0 in that category. They've both done federal projects, so they're both evenly throughout. The other difference was S and M and E is currently working on a few projects with GNRC that are CDBG projects. They're working on a daycare project in Gallatin, so that would be, in my mind, a plus that they're familiar with working with GNRC on that. But the qualifications are both very similar. We feel they're both qualified, and the price difference was very small between the two.
Question, Griggs and Maloney's here in Rutherford County. S and M is
Out
where?
of Nashville, I believe. Yes. No. I'm sorry. Let's see. I believe they're out of Nashville. Yes. Grassmere
Okay,
Drive in Nashville. Yes.
thank you.
Which one was that?
S and M and E.
SMME was out of Nashville. Griggs and Maloney is out of Murfreesboro.
The price for S and M and E I believe it was $2,800. Griggs and Maloney was, I believe, a little bit more. $3,900. So very similar. I think they each have some very small pros and con differences, but when we did the rubric, they came out pretty much even.
Discussion?
Have we had any problems with Griggs and Maloney that we're aware of? I know they've done several projects for us, man, so I can't think of any right offhand. But
I'm not aware of any, but I don't know that we've used them since I've been here, so I couldn't.
What are we, just remind me, refresh, what are we using?
So this is for a phase 1 site evaluation for the Doors of Hope project, where they're going to put an addition onto their building, and this was the first step to do a site eval for that environmental site assessment. But because of this is a federal grant, even though the dollar amount is really small for this, we were required to bid it. And even though this is pass-through money, we checked and they required it to come through our purchasing policies. Normally, y'all wouldn't see this if this was a county project or not federal money, but because of we had to use a certain scale of rubric and do some of these formal requirements based because it was the federal money.
On this particular project as a whole, are there going to be any other needs for this type of work? Or
not for this particular. No, we will have to hire a general contractor and we'll have to have an architect design, but not for the environmental initial study. No.
when you're looking at $1,100 difference and they're virtually the same, I'll make a motion to go with the S.
I believe it's S and M&E.
Inc.
Yeah, their logo looks like that, so it's a little hard to tell out there.
Yeah.
Their logo.
I'll second the motion.
The motion is for SME, and we've got a second from Commissioner Gooch. Roll call vote. Is there any further discussion?
And I did bring copies of their original, but I think Carla has some too if y'all need those.
No further discussion. Carla, call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Mayor.
No.
Motion passed.
Any other business?
When is do we have a next one scheduled, you said, or?
Carla, when's our next schedule?
Our next meeting is on the 15th of
15th.
August.
August 15th.
Yes.
That's right. We said that earlier. Sorry.
If you would sign SN.
Anyway, right?
Yes, yes. And Commissioner Pate, will you sign the new pricing on the sheriff's office and start passing that one around too, please, sir?
Do I have the original?
Yes.
Okay.
Turn it. That's that was the original contract,
one?
and then no, the other one's the one to start signing.
This is what we
yeah.
want?
Yes.
Is there any other business for the purchasing committee? Seeing none, we're adjourned.